On a quiet Sunday morning in St. Paul, Minnesota, the city's streets were still, the air filled with the anticipation of a typical day of worship. For many, Sunday is a time to gather, reflect, and find solace within the walls of their local church, a weekly ritual that brings comfort and community. At City's Church, families and individuals settled into the familiar rhythm of hymns and prayers, expecting nothing more than a peaceful service. But that sense of calm was about to be shattered. Suddenly, a group of anti-ICE protesters entered the sanctuary, their voices echoing through the sacred space. What began as a tranquil morning was instantly transformed, as the church became the stage for a passionate political demonstration. The congregation, caught off guard, watched as their sanctuary was filled with chants and signs demanding justice and change. The protesters' actions sparked immediate controversy, igniting a firestorm of debate across St. Paul and beyond. City officials weighed in, faith leaders voiced their concerns, and the public found itself divided, some supporting the urgency of the protest, others defending the sanctity of worship. The incident laid bare a growing tension in American society, the struggle between activists demanding immediate action on pressing issues, and faith communities seeking a safe haven for spiritual reflection. For many, the church is a place of peace, but for others, it's a platform for urgent calls to justice. When protest collides with sacred space, the fallout is rarely simple. The event raised difficult questions about the boundaries of dissent, the rights of protesters, and the respect owed to places of worship. Emotions ran high, and the community was left grappling with where to draw the line. In this video, we'll break down exactly what happened inside City's Church, explore the motivations behind the protest, and examine why this moment matters. We'll also look at what it reveals about the current state of civil discourse in America, where the lines between activism and tradition are increasingly blurred. At its core, this story is about the ongoing clash between two fundamental rights: the right to protest and the right to worship freely. Both are protected, both are cherished, but what happens when they come into direct conflict? As passions flare and boundaries are tested, we're left with a crucial question. How do we balance these freedoms in a society that values both justice and sanctuary? The answers aren't easy, but the conversation is more important than ever. On a quiet Sunday morning, the congregation at City's Church in Minnesota gathered as usual, filling the sanctuary with the familiar sounds of greetings, music, and prayer. The atmosphere was peaceful, with families settling into pews and children whispering to their parents as the service began to unfold. Suddenly, the calm was shattered when a group of demonstrators burst through the doors, their voices rising above the hymns as they chanted loudly and waved protest signs. The congregation turned in confusion and alarm, unsure of what was happening. The entry of the protesters was anything but subtle. It was a coordinated, forceful move, clearly intended to disrupt the service and draw attention to their cause. Their presence was immediately felt, as they moved with purpose and determination. Video footage from inside the church shows the group weaving through the aisles, their chants echoing off the walls and overpowering the prayers and music. Some demonstrators stood on pews, while others confronted church leaders directly, making their message impossible to ignore. Many families, including young children, were visibly startled and frightened by the sudden disruption. Parents tried to comfort their kids, shielding them from the chaos and confusion that had erupted in what was supposed to be a safe space. The church later described the scene as one of intimidation and threat. Members reported being accosted by protesters, and several children were left in tears, overwhelmed by the noise and tension. The sense of safety that the congregation usually felt was replaced by anxiety and distress. The actions of the protesters were deliberate and confrontational, aimed at making the congregation face their message head-on. For many, it felt like a direct challenge to their beliefs and their right to worship in peace. What was meant to be a peaceful hour of worship quickly descended into chaos and fear. The emotional impact was immediate, as people struggled to process what was happening around them. After several tense minutes, the group of protesters exited the church, leaving behind a shaken congregation. The emotional aftermath lingered, with many churchgoers left in tears or stunned silence, trying to regain their composure. The sanctuary, once a place of comfort and community, was left unsettled and somber. The echoes of the protest still hung in the air, a stark reminder of the morning's events. In the aftermath, the incident sparked immediate questions and debate. about the methods and motivations behind such a disruptive protest, the boundaries of free speech, and the impact on a community's sense of safety and belonging. The protesters' chants, "Justice for Renee Good," pointed to a specific immigration case, personalizing their cause. Their choice of City's church was intentional. They believed a pastor had ties to ICE. This wasn't a random act, but a targeted confrontation with a community they saw as complicit. By bringing their protest inside, they forced the congregation to face the alleged connection and its moral implications. Their tactics, however, crossed a line for many, turning a house of worship into a battleground. The debate quickly shifted from immigration policy to the ethics of protest itself. Was this a necessary act of justice, or an unacceptable violation of private, sacred space? The answer depends on where you draw the line between activism and aggression. Top government officials responded swiftly and forcefully. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem condemned the protest, promising arrests within hours and calling the disruption a violation of the law. She blamed the political climate and reckless rhetoric for emboldening such actions. Attorney General Pam Bondi called the incident horrific, emphasizing that all places of worship, churches, synagogues, mosques, deserve protection. Both leaders drew a clear line. Protest is protected, but not when it invades sacred spaces or intimidates worshipers. Their statements set the stage for legal consequences and a national debate over the limits of protest. The message was clear: religious freedom would be defended, and those who crossed the line would be held accountable. City's church released a strong statement, calling the protest shameful, unlawful, and intolerable. Leaders described the fear and distress caused, especially among children, and condemned the violation of their sacred space. They asserted that disrupting worship is protected by neither scripture nor law. The church's message was one of resilience. Their faith and community would not be broken by intimidation. By framing the protest as both a moral and legal breach, the church rallied support and drew a firm boundary against future disruptions. The statement resonated beyond their congregation, reinforcing the principle that places of worship must remain sanctuaries. The church's response became a rallying point for those defending religious freedom. The city's church protest was part of a broader wave of anti-ICE activism in Minneapolis and St. Paul. Recent months have seen a shift from peaceful marches to more confrontational tactics, including disruptions of private spaces. Activists, frustrated by a lack of progress, have escalated their methods to force attention on immigration issues. This escalation has divided the community. Many support the cause, but not the means. The incident at City's church forced a reckoning. What forms of protest are acceptable, and where is the line? As tensions rise, the risk of further confrontations grows. The church disruption is a symptom of deeper, unresolved conflicts over immigration and protest in America. The City's church incident puts two core American freedoms in direct conflict: the right to protest and the right to worship. The First Amendment protects both, but when one infringes on the other, society faces a tough dilemma. Protest is vital for change, but so is the sanctity of religious space. Most legal experts agree. Protest does not extend to invading private worship or intimidating congregants. The incident is a stark reminder that rights must be balanced, not absolute. The challenge is finding where to draw the line, and how to respect both freedoms in a divided nation. This debate is far from over. Beyond politics and law, this is a story of raw emotion, a story that reaches deep into the hearts of everyone involved. It's about the powerful feelings that surface when a place of comfort and tradition is suddenly thrust into the center of conflict. For many, the church is more than just a building. It's a sanctuary, a place where families gather to find peace, hope, and a sense of belonging. When the sanctuary was invaded, congregants, especially families with young children, were gripped by fear and shock. The sense of safety they had always known was shattered in an instant. Parents instinctively shielded their children, while others looked around in disbelief, struggling to process what was happening. The echoes of distress lingered long after the event, leaving many to question whether their sacred space would ever feel the same again. Outside, protesters gathered with unwavering determination. Their actions were fueled by deep conviction, a belief that their cause was so urgent, so morally compelling, that it justified disrupting the peace. For them, the protest was not just an act of defiance, but a call to conscience, a demand for the community to confront uncomfortable truths. The event sent shockwaves through the wider St. Paul community, igniting passionate debate and exposing deep divisions. Town halls and community meetings became battlegrounds of opinion, with neighbors and friends finding themselves on opposite sides of a widening rift. Long-standing relationships were tested as people struggled to reconcile their beliefs with the actions that had taken place. Some community members sympathized with the protesters' cause, but could not accept the disruption of a sacred space. Others felt personally attacked, seeing the protest as a direct challenge to their values and way of life. The lines between right and wrong blurred, replaced by a complex web of emotions: anger, empathy, confusion, and sorrow. In the aftermath, the wounds left behind were not just physical, but emotional, social, and spiritual. Many left the church that day feeling vulnerable and uncertain, seeking comfort in each other's presence. The process of healing, for individuals and for the community as a whole, will be slow and challenging. Moving forward will require more than just time. It will demand empathy, open dialogue, and a willingness to truly listen, even when disagreements run deep. Only by coming together, sharing stories, and acknowledging each other's pain, can the community hope to rebuild trust. This story is not simply about who was right or wrong, it's about understanding the motivations, fears, and hopes that drive people to act. It's about recognizing the humanity on all sides, and the shared desire for a better future. True healing will depend on the community's willingness to listen, to engage in honest conversation, and to resist the urge to judge or condemn too quickly. Only then can the wounds begin to close. The path forward is uncertain, and the challenges are real. But one thing is clear: the need for mutual respect, compassion, and understanding has never been greater. The disruption at City's Church is a microcosm of America's deep divisions. It shows that while protest is essential, the way it's done matters. Actions that create fear or violate sacred spaces can backfire, undermining the cause. The strong response from leaders underscores the importance of protecting religious freedom. Healing will require more than arrests. It demands renewed dialogue and respect across divides. Communities must find ways to debate tough issues without resorting to intimidation. The real test is balancing passionate conviction with mutual respect. In moments like these, the strength of a community and a nation is measured by its ability to uphold both justice and civility.